Okay, welcome back to another episode, another video, another episode. Makes me sound all professional, doesn't it? Anyway, so we're back with the snapshots. I haven't refreshed my memory, but I think the last video we were on an A snapshot. We're now on a B snapshot. They've fixed some stuff, and some stuff is still broken. And they've broken some new stuff. Standard, really. So yeah, a few other changes to my setup. You probably noticed the microphone's changed position because it was doing my nutting because I couldn't actually see bits of the keyboard. And hopefully, I've pumped up the record resolution a little bit, so yeah, you guys should be able to see a slightly better quality picture now. Because watching the other one back, it kind of looked like it had been filmed with a potato. So yeah, that's that. So let's crack on with. So the ranks. I've typed some more stuff. So you can see we've actually got we're up to 10 ranks. Sorry, I'm dying here. Like I said before, the things like the times and the order of what advancements and achievement type stuff you've got to do for each one is still kind of open for not negotiation, but maybe rearrangement type stuff. So yeah, take a look through it. If you've got suggestions for different values or different order of things, give me some feedback in the Discord chat. The Matrix one seems to be the popular one at the moment, so as usual, links will be down in the description. So I think we were right with our original bit at the top here of saying, you know, the 1 day IRL is equivalent to 2 hours. Basically, from rank 4 onwards, you've pretty much completed the game. You've done that. You've killed the dragon. You've been to the end cities and all the rest of it. So the next part is rank 5 onwards. Really is geared about trying to keep you occupied and give you additional things to achieve or additional challenges to achieve. My music stopped. Aha, my music started. There we go. So we've got things like the hot stuff and enchanting, brewing potions, the dragon's breath, all on these ones here. Killing a guardian, because if I remember rightly, the guardian stuff in the temple you don't actually have to do, or like you don't have to complete to be able to complete the game. So but obviously in order to kill a guardian you've got to find a guardian, so you've got to get trekking. Rank 6, trade 1,000 times with a villager, complete adventuring time, which I will do a quest for as well. I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to have enough time to actually write the quest for you before anybody gets to it. I mean, you guys are at this point, you'll have to rack up 64 hours of playtime, plus have got all of those other achievements by the time you get to that, so hopefully that will keep you busy. And of course you've got to meet all of the other requirements in this one before you can move on anyway, so which brings me to let's do Terracotta Warrior first. Terracotta Warrior is a concept for a custom achievement. I put it in there because I really like the idea of it, but at the moment we're not sure how we're going to do it because Mojang is still changing things around somewhat. I'll explain a bit more a little bit later on. But so that the Terracotta Warrior one may or may not stay in. Mine 300 diamond ore. That's maybe a little bit harsh. That might need adjusting. I don't know. I mean, 64 hours. That's only like, I don't know. I don't even know how much that is. I just pluck numbers out. Where's me? I can't even be bothered to math today. Where's the calculator gone? There it is. Not that you'll be able to see it. Let's have a look. So 64 hours. If we say you're going to do nothing for the first 4 hours, so we'll do 60 hours. So 300 divided by 60. Yeah, so you've only got to find 5 diamonds an hour. It's not that bad when you look at it that way. But it is diamond ore, so you've actually got to mine the block itself. So things like your enchanted axes and stuff like that won't help you in terms of being able to beat that. Increasing the PvP kills, rank score and stuff. Okay, down onto the noble ranks. The walk, minecarts, AV8s, and cake slices eaten. From memory, I think they're custom achievements, but they're based off of stats that are already being collected anyway. I haven't decided values on those yet. Could really do with you guys actually helping me out a little bit on those, and give me an idea of what sort of distances you've covered in the playtimes that you've racked up so far. If you're not sure where to find them, we'll show you a bit later on, or for anybody that doesn't know at least anyway. So complete Purple 1, both levels. I don't know if you guys know. Purple 1 is a mini game that I wrote a while ago. Has a bit of a reputation for driving people nuts. There's actually 2 levels to it when you go back in the second time round. It basically just makes things a little bit harder. At the moment, you guys can play it on 1.12. I haven't ported it across to 1.13 yet. So again, kind of hoping that I'll have enough time to get that done before you guys actually reach this stage. Obviously increasing the PvPs and the bank scores. Then we've got the Earl. Earl focuses on some pretty savage stuff, really. If you're not aware of the of some of the other advancements, have I got that open? I haven't got that open at the moment, so we'll leave that for a minute. But the post-mortal, I think, is using the totem thing to avoid dying. Breed all the animals. Literally is, if there's animal, like whatever animal it is, you've got to breed it, which means you've got to go and find the animals. All the potions is having all of the potions applied to you at once. So you've got to brew one of every single potion and consume it. Uneasy Alliance. Which one is that? That's the Ghast. You've got to get a Ghast into the overworld and kill it in the overworld. There's a few ways to do that, but you're probably going to end up, if you don't know how to do it already. I think there's a few videos on YouTube and stuff of how to, or different ways to do it. So yeah, pretty much. Basically, you're going to have to look a few bits up, and obviously we've got to mine 1,000 ores. Again, the diamond ore one we might tweak or change depending on what people's feedback is. I did do a video the other day actually, which I ended up deciding not to cut up and try and post, because it was just A, it was too big, and B, bits of it were boring anyway. So when it comes to setting the targets here, and I'm asking for your feedback, the bit I want you to think about before you give me the feedback is what numbers make it difficult for you to obtain or to achieve. There's no point in setting that, for example, 100 down here, you know, on the diamond or at level 8. You know, you've racked up, I mean, 128 days to complete that. That's 256 hours of solid gameplay. If you've only managed to mine 100 diamond ores in 256 hours, you are doing something wrong. So it needs to be something that, you know, you've got to work at to achieve. The whole point of it is to make it a challenge, because if it's not a challenge and it doesn't make you work, then, you know, what's the point in playing it? Basically, you might as well go and play on your single player world, give yourself cheats, and then sit there bored because you can do everything. Anyway, right. If you watched the video, or my last video, you will notice that there's a difference here. As well as stuff being filled in, we now have 2 extra ranks on the bottom here. If you're following the Discord channel, you might have seen myself and Morph talking about that briefly earlier on. Elite is a gamble, really, I guess. Well, it's not. In as much as if you're good and you're confident, then you're fine. Basically, the idea is we're going to use it possibly as an opportunity for you guys to be able to rank up to staff members. You will not be able to complete Elite until you have made it to like level 8 to Earl, or whatever we end up calling it. The idea is at that point there will be a quest for you to go on, which will be horrible. Make no bones about it, it will be horrible. Still working out some of the details on it, but the general idea of it is, you know, you work through the quest. One way or another, I will make it very difficult to do. If you die during that quest, you lose everything, and I mean everything, like to the point that we're actually even gonna delete your player file. So absolutely everything, whatever you've got, scores, what you've got stashed in your inventory, what you've got stashed in the bank, what you've got stashed in ender chests, everything will go. That's the price. The reward, if you make it, is you get to be a staff member. I think. Don't know. Mostly depends on whether or not people are up for the challenge, really, I guess. So yeah, there's the big spoiler. The last rank, which is blanked out and just says same as original, that's the carryover from 1.12. None of you have found it yet, so we'll obviously a well kept secret. I might think about giving you some hints, or I might do a quest that will tell you what you've got to do, or I don't know, something. But yeah, there's the ideas. So if you've got feedback, you want to chat about it, whatever, again, responses in the comments, or or catch on the Matrix Discord channel, and that will get us going for that one. So let's move on. That's the ideas. That's literally just notes for me, so that doesn't translate into anything at the moment, other than it gives me an idea of what I'm working for. So this bit at the top here, this is how we do it at the moment, basically. We use a test for to determine whether or not anybody meets requirements to do a rank up. If they do, I've just realised I can't spell. Let's change that. There we go. If they do, then it goes on and does these bits. It's kind of making the best of a bad job. The way that the test fors run, they run at all players, and there's no way to refine that any further, so we kind of just have to do what we do. So rather than having that all running as an absolute trying to fire at every player all of the time, we use the test for to try and break it down so that the rest of this stuff doesn't happen unless the first test for is met. Test for those that are not aware, no longer exists in 1.13, which is why we've got to do all the recoding, which moves us on to the bit down here. That's copied and pasted from the other set of notes, just as a guideline for me to work with, so that I can come up with stuff. Some of this is guesswork, to be honest, because Mojang are still working on the stats and advancements and whatnot. So stuff that was there in the A snapshot isn't actually there in the B snapshot, which is, you know, really helpful. So we've gone from having, I don't know, probably 2,500–3,000 different stats that we could directly address. Currently there's probably only about 1,000 listing at best, so I'm hoping that somebody's made a cock up with one of their lines of code somewhere, and that they're going to fix that for the next snapshot. So on the basis that they are going to do that, these are the scoreballs that we're going to be working with for the first rank down here. So we've got rank and time, which are going to be custom made ones. We'll put those in ourselves and manually count those. The rest are basically guesswork. The two that are here covered with the stars next to them, they are currently in addressable and working. So using that structure, in terms of the way that the syntax is laid out, the Minecraft.crafted : Minecraft.crafting table, I'm basically having to guess at what the rest will be. If I'm right, then the rest will look pretty much like the rest of it. If I'm wrong, then I'm going to have to rewrite all of that bit. So, either way, we'll figure it out. And then we've got advancements. We're going to use those 4 advancements. The one that's a bit of a meh, there was a stat for using a bed, but there is also an advancement for using a bed. So if they don't put that stat back, then I can get to it by targeting the advancement instead. Right, some code then. Let's do some code. This is a test function, basically. For those of you that aren't aware, there are things called functions. They basically allow us to put either strings of commands or fairly long, complicated or over-length commands in where we would normally have done with a command block. So this was a test that I was playing with, because the way that the functions work, when they run sequentially. So it will do line 5 first, then line 6, then it will do line 9. Ignore the indentations for a minute, I'll come back to that. Then it will do lines 15 and 16. But it does them all in the same tick. So much as it does all of this sequentially, it, as far as the game is concerned, it kind of does it all at the same time. So what that means to me is I have to be careful with what I'm doing, in terms of if I do something that makes a change and requires the game engine to have moved on to the next tick to update things before I can then work with it or not. I have to think of that first. So this one was actually a test to see whether I could get away with manipulating scoreboard values with what they call a fake entity, do an assessment against it and then reset those scores afterwards or not. So that's literally all this does. So you can see the comments already, but I'll take you through it anyway. So fake entity basically lets us create a fake player that we can assign scoreboard values to. I'm not sure if tags will work against them. They should do, might do, maybe. No, we'll try that at some point. Anyway, but it will definitely work with scoreboard values, and that's all we're interested in at the moment anyway. So the entity name that we're using, I don't know if that's going to come out very clearly there, but it's server core FE, which is literally server core FE standing for fake entity. So our first line here, we're literally manually setting the scoreboard of that fake entry. The scoreboard that we're going to manipulate is called score1. Highly original, I know. And we're going to set that value to 2. Next line, we're going to do the same thing again, but we're going to change the scoreboard 2 and set it to a value of 4. Then we're going to come down to this command. This command is a single command, and it's the new execute command. We're actually doing, I don't know how you want to term it, nested commands, I suppose, almost in a way. So you've got the primary execute, which is your initial trigger. This first section that instructs the command where to fire it. Yeah. The bit I'm not sure of that we're still kind of working out, because I'm not sure if I've got this bit right or not. If I've read the documentation correctly and understood it correctly, which there's no guarantee I have, what this is actually saying is execute the command at every player, and then when you get to this bit, it's do that as if it was the individual player. I might have got that bit wrong, I don't know yet. In testing for me on a single player world it works. I haven't had a chance to test it on a multiplayer world and see whether it will work with more than one player online yet. This is the bit where we get into trial and error. But anyway, so if I've understood this right, we're going to execute the command at every single player on the server, or in the world at the time. Then we're going to run this line here as if it was that player, and what we're going to do is we're going to check the score of that player, score 1, against the fake entity score 1, and we're looking to make sure that it is the same. So we're checking to make sure that these two scores, score 1 for the player and for the fake entity, match. If they do match, then go on to the next line, which then does another comparison, checking score 2 to make sure it's equal to score 2 on the false entity. If that matches, then we go down to the next one, which literally just says match. It's not rocket science. Having done that, it then resets the scoreboards on the false entity, fake entity, to 0 for both of them. Now that, like I said, that actually does work on my single player world. I haven't got as far as checking to see whether it works on the multiplayer world or not yet. No. But anyway, so that gives you an idea of what the function files are. You can get a bit of an idea of where I'm going to end up heading in terms of this command, because that's obviously going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger when we start trying to check and compare to make sure that all of these are matched up correctly. I won't bother showing you the rank up code because there's literally only about 4 or 5 lines there at the moment. The only other thing to say, if you're looking at this from a point of view of writing your own functions, this command here, as it's laid out at the moment, if you save that now, I don't know if it's going to be the same on the PC. I use a Mac. I know. Yeah, whatever. On mine, if I save it like that, it won't work. It doesn't like the indentations. So this has to be compounded to a single line entry. Saying that, I mean, it might even be a case that that Mojang changed that and, you know, change their interpreter so that it will tolerate the carriage returns or whatever. We're still early on in the snap, so no ideas. But anyway, right. Let's hop across to the world. I can show you the function running. What's that? Back to the test world. So, this is running like a bag of spanners as well. Anyway, right. Just quickly because I noticed it there. So I was saying hoppers are broken at the moment. You watch. Having said it now on camera, it's broken. You watch, it'll work now, won't it? Okay, so you can see the item moving backwards and forwards. No comparator output. What you should see is those two lights blinking on and off between them, but they're not. So there we go. Anyhow, let's do. Let's do this. List? No, that's not what I want. I want scoreboard. Players list. Let's list me first. 666. Devil number. Wrong number. 555. There we go. Right. So at the moment I am set to 2 and 4. Let's do the same for the server, or for the fake. What did I call it? I called it server core FE, I think, didn't I? Yeah, there we go. So server core FE is currently set to 0 and 0. So if I run my function file, which I've already loaded in, we'll do that one. Speak test. That was the name of it. Random. Sets to a match. So if I switch back to the code for a minute. So what our code just did, bearing in mind my scoreboards were already set to 2 and 4 at the top here for my personal player. So this has set the server to 2 and 4, then done the comparison, and then reset the codes, reset the scoreboards back to 0. So if I run that, we get the match. If I change my scoreboard value, or one of my scoreboard values, it doesn't matter which one, just draw a line under it, what you'll get now, so what we've got now is just a confirmation that the function was run, but there's no output from the function. So if I change that back to 2 and run it again, see now the second line up from the bottom there, we've got the output saying match. So there we go, we have a working function. Fairly primitive and basic, but it proves what I needed it to, which was literally that I was able to manipulate score values and do a comparison with more than one if statement in it, which it did. So there we go. I'll just finish up with, if I switch across to the Discord, let's have a quick look. So I had a few questions in here. We got that bit, which was the some of the stuff about the average user stats. So the only bits really on the bottom there was asking about the bank and the traders and stuff. Yeah, we probably will keep the bank and the traders. Oh no, there's no probably. We definitely will keep the bank and the traders. But what I might do is work on having a slightly stricter access policy to them. So, you know, you've got to be, I don't know, well, each one of the ranks will have maybe its own set of traders type thing, where you can only get certain things from them. So, you know, the higher up the ranks you get, the more stuff you can get from the traders, or the better deals you can get, whatever. Because all of the traders that we put at spawn are all custom written anyway, so we can obviously decide what things cost and what they don't. The bank obviously has to be in place because we need you to have bank scores to work your way up. What I might do is I might look at seeing if we can do something like a maximum deposit type thing based on each of your ranks. I don't know, that might just be an absolute headache for me, but either way, let me give you an idea. Yeah, other than that, I think that's about that. So since I'm way over where I wanted to be, rapidly coming up to nearly 45 minutes, I'll finish up and then work on the basis of trying to cut some of that down, I guess. Really, the finish up is just to say, obviously links for Discord and the server and stuff are all in the chat description below. Hit the likes, hit the subscribes, come and find me on Discord or Twitch as well. Probably won't be streaming anytime soon because I've got some problems with my broadband at the moment, but we'll be there soon, hopefully. And yeah, if you do want to come and play on the Matrix, feel free. It's an open public server, and yeah, that about does that. All right, hopefully see you again.